Well, you start. I'm okay over here, don't worry.
What are you doing?
It will all become apparent.
I hope so. Hello! Joined by special guest Mrs. Doubtfire this week. Yes, much like Alf, we're back in pod form. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say we were pogs. Wow, that would have been fun.
Yes, the podcast hath returned due to
We are back.
Due to Lockdown 2 Electric Boogaloo. Or is this Lockdown 3? It's hard to keep track these days. Lockdown 3 Electric Chickadee, I guess. I don't know. Either way, we're back in lockdown.
Lockdown 3, don't come near me.
I love it. But either way, that's just the way it is. And we're back in lockdown again. As long as everyone stays safe, that's the main thing. And actually hopefully this will encourage people to, stay inside this time.
Yes.
Anyway. But anyone who watches this podcast will have stayed inside because they're good folk. They're not, you're mad auntie on Facebook being a big conspiracy racist.
Instagram's quite good for that. God,
I need to get off socials, man. It's especially during lockdown. Your mental health is bad enough state as it is. It's just toxic. Either way, let's try and lighten the mood, shall we? Hello, Keith. How are you this brisk day on the north coast of Northern Ireland? How are you?
Yes, it's a little chilly.
You've got your hat on indoors.
Got my hat on indoors, yes.
But your beard is still magnificent.
Yeah. The beard is staying. And
update from the last podcast that we did, my hair's grown back. Isn't that brilliant?
Your hair has grown back. You are now not wearing a hat.
I'm now not wearing a hat, no. But maybe I should, because I have to cut my own hair now, and it's not great. Yeah, but either way.
I cut mine tomorrow, I think.
Are you just going to shave it all off?
That is pretty much the plan, yes.
You can get away with that, whereas I look like some sort of alien sex pest, so it's a bit unfortunate. What have you been up to, Keith? I haven't seen you since this all kicked. How was your Christmas? Was your Christmas good?
Yeah, it was alright. Quiet. Not really I like to do a lot.
You eat lots of chocolate, because I did.
Chocolate and crisps and biscuits.
Yeah, I haven't moved, let alone done any exercise in the past 3 weeks. So, did you get anything nice?
Yeah, I got some stuff. Got a new case for my pool cue.
Fantastic.
Got a mini Mega Drive.
Oh, excellent.
I need to get Sensible Soccer on it somehow, so you're going to have to show me how to do that.
Oh, there's YouTube tutorials on how to do all that stuff with people much cleverer than I. I barely know how to set up this Zoom call, let alone set up anything else.
I've been playing Streets of Rage.
Oh, excellent. That's superb. Well, how was your Christmas? Let us know in the comment section down below. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, I hope you had a good December and a good New Year. And if you don't celebrate, if it's not the right time for your New Year, I hope you had a good December. There you go.
What about yourself? How was yours?
Oh, man, it was really dull. Work closed on the last, the 20th, I want to say, something like that. I was meant to be working on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and Boxing Day and Christmas Eve, so I'm kind of happy that I didn't. But then it's double pay, so I'm kind of annoyed about that.
What's happening to all the leftover biscuits and cake in your house now?
I know, it's just sitting there.
I'm not allowed there to eat them.
I'll put them in a box and I'll ship them out too. How about that, as a kind of survival package?
Leave them in the door. Leave them in the doorstep and ring the bell. Actually, no, don't ring the bell. The dog will go mad. Leave them in the doorstep and text me.
Will do. If anybody else wants any biscuits and cake and stuff, leave your address. DM me your address. Wait, that sounds really odd. Don't do that.
Oh dear.
Moving swiftly on before the law is called. The transfer window is open. Football has remained, even though that times have changed.
Football, I don't think it's going to be lasting much longer, but sure, we're meant to be happy and joyous, so we'll.
Oh, of course, yeah. It's balls to the health and safety of the people actually participating in it. As long as we're happy, that's the main thing. But either way, it is staying. Elite sport is continuing.
For now.
If you can call the Northern Irish Premier League elite sport, but there you are. And we are in January, which means the transfer window is open. So, and it is the subject of today's podcast, which is...
This was a fun one.
This was very difficult. So, the three teams at the bottom of the Premier League at this exact time, which is the 6th of January, which are, of course, Fulham, West Brom, and Sheffield United.
Very far away, or Sheffield United, bless them.
We've set ourselves the task of what signings could possibly make a difference and save their season. There were a couple of rules in place. We gave each a budget of £20 million. That's before sales, which may be a bit ambitious considering the financial state, of some of these teams. But we figured that's a kind of generic looking sort of budget that could be worked. We could work in that.
It's going to be very difficult, I think, as far, especially loans are concerned, because usually those clubs would kind of look at United, Arsenal, Chelsea, City, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. As far as, right, who's not playing? And, like, some of the youngsters. But the thing is, everyone's got that many injuries and could potentially get injuries, and players out with COVID. Like, Liverpool's not going to loan you anybody. Liverpool don't have anybody.
That's a good point. I didn't even consider that.
City have got like 8 players missing at the minute.
On the subject of injuries, actually, I went through each club and see if there was any kind of serious long-term injuries that would kind of sway the decisions here. I have my notes, that's why I'm looking down here. Fulham don't really, they don't have anybody out long term. West Brom have Connor Townsend, who's out for 4 to 6 weeks, and Carlin Grant, who's out for 5 to 7 weeks. Their kind of main source of goals is out for an extended period of time. And Sheffield United have Jack O'Connell out, of course he's out for the rest of the season. And Sander Berge is pretty much out for the rest of the season. He's just had surgery. He's out for 3 to 4 months. So, yeah, it goes from bad to worse for Sheffield United, really. So trying to kind of do something with them was quite difficult. But we have persevered. I have 3 names for each club, except for Fulham, where I have 2, because I feel their squad's obviously the best of the 3.
As far as Fulham and West Brom are concerned, a few of mine kind of overlap, and then I've got an extra one for West Brom.
So I do believe we'll just start with Sheffield United and work our way up, as they're going to probably take the most time out of this particular conversation. So we'll start with Sheffield United.
You might find this slightly funny.
Okay. Well, I have one that I completely crossed out because I thought that's just so stupid. So it can't be.
Well, who was the one you crossed out? We'll go with this first before I start my speech.
Right. Well, I purely went on the notion that if Jack Rodwell can still get a game in the Prem, that surely Jack Wilshere on a free transfer till the end of the season might be able to do you something. But I crossed him out because it's like it's just not, is it? So I got rid of him.
Where's Jack Rodwell getting a game?
He's at Sheffield United. I don't know if he's still there, but he was there last year.
Right.
So I can't remember if he's still there or not. But yeah, Jack Wilshere, I figured no, probably not. So I have 2 defenders and I have 1 midfielder, because I feel like they really need to replace Jack O'Connell at the back, and they need a creative link-up between the forwards and the midfield. So we'll go with that first. I've gone with, right, as much as I don't rate him at all, you might be able to get him because he's not getting a game at Manchester United, is Jesse Lingard on loan till the end of the season. They need somebody in there. And Lingard, like I say, I'm not his biggest fan, but he has the ability to create. And he can play. He can cover on the right and on the left as well, which is never a bad thing. I was looking at his stats from last season because obviously he hasn't played this season. So
he had stats last season. Wow.
I know. It's staggered. But in the Prem,
he scored his only goal in the league on the last day of the season.
He did.
The last kick of the game,
which you can see on our channel. Actually, we did a final day watch along. I'll link it.
Link it up here somewhere.
In and around the top of the screen. So in the Prem last year, he had 21 appearances, 1 goal, 0 assists. He was making 0.9 key passes a game and 0.6 dribbles and having 1 shot per game. The Europa League, though, significantly better, but then again, depends on the quality of opponent in the Europa League. You could be playing Lithuania's 3rd best team. He made 9 appearances, scored 2 goals, got 1 assist. less key passes with 0.8 key passes, 1 completed dribble, and 1.8 shots per game. So there's something there, and he's 28. He's still got a good bit of time left in him. He could be useful.
Now that you mentioned Jesse Lingard, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is, I think it's probably as good a time as any for me to make my point about Sheffield United.
Okie doke.
I have not wrote anybody down for Sheffield United.
You have nobody for Sheffield United?
Nope. Sheffield United have 2 points after 18, 19 games?
17 games, I think.
17 games, right. Who that could do them any good is going to look and go, I'll go to Sheffield United,
Now, fair enough, that is a point. Right, there's not really...
where...
Like you said, I've written 3 names down here.
As I mentioned...
But none of them are going to make a huge difference to what they have at the minute. It might just kind of stem the flow a bit, but it's not going to make a huge, massive difference.
Like, you mentioned Jesse Lingard, right? He's not getting played at Man United. He's not going to want to go to Sheffield United and get relegated with Sheffield United.
But he won't, though. He'll go back to Man United. He won't,
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, he's not going to want if he goes out and loan to Sheffield United and they get relegated, what use is that going to do him coming back to Old Trafford? Absolutely none.
But my reckoning is his stock has never been as low as it is now. So if he goes out to Sheffield United and can be, if he can't shine in a team that has 2 points after 17 games, then, he doesn't, then what the hell's he doing?
I don't think they play a kind of football that a player like that would work on. He's not a winger. I don't even know what he is, but he's not a winger. I don't think he's good enough to play as a number 10, so I don't really know where you play him at that stage, Jim.
Well, obviously you know him a lot better than I would. You're watching United week in, week out, whereas I'm not. So I just figured, it's an attainable option, Speaking of attainable options for Manchester United, now this one is a bit rogue. I don't think this is a thing, but then again, I was struggling a lot to think of anybody. Another Manchester United player, Marcus Rojo, maybe, on loan till the end of the season. You never know, he might want to play some games before, because the Copa America is, of course, in the summer. Might want to get some game time before then. Plus, he can debutise as a left-back, even though Sheffield United tend not to play. I don't think he'd work as a left wing-back, which is generally what they sort of operate, I guess.
Maybe.
Pardon?
Maybe.
He's been getting a decent length, couple of games though, hasn't he? He's been getting more games than, I suppose he's registered, so of course he's going to get more games than Rojo, so you never know. But
I don't rate Foster Mensah at right back, so it could be a centre half option for him.
He made 7 appearances for United last season, a total of 470 minutes, mainly in the Europa League, where 4 of those appearances happened. 0.3 tackles per game, which is pretty bad. 1.3 interceptions, 4 clearances though, so that's something. 0.3 blocks. So yeah, doesn't make brilliant reading for Marcus Rojo. Consider how much did you pay to bring him in? It was like 15-ish, wasn't it?
I think 15 or 16 million, yeah.
Something around that, which is mental. Again, I was struggling for options, so especially in the centre-back role. So I'll just rattle on with my third one if you don't have anybody else for Sheffield United. Now this one will actually cost them a bit of money, so it's not all bad. This is providing they do have any money, of course, because apparently there's a big fallout there between who does the chairman actually want to spend money. But either way, I've gone for a team in La Liga, actually. 20, I think he's 26 years old. I should have written that down. David Garcia out of Osasuna, valued at 6.75 million on Transfermarkt. And he's actually got stats for this season, so you can compare him. But he's strong in the air. He's got good interception numbers. He's making 1.8 interceptions per game, 4.6 clearances a game, which is nuts, and 6.1 aerial duels won per game on average. That's insane. So good interception numbers. He likes to play. He likes to ping a long ball, and he tends to stay on his feet. He doesn't dive into tackles. And he's got 1 goal this year as well, so there you go. David Garcia of Osasuna, who are middling in La Liga. Would he take that? Would he take a move to a team that will most likely be playing in the Championship next year? Who knows? But I figured he might. He kind of fits the mold of if Chris Wilder could kind of mold him into that, that overlapping centre back carry on. I think he fits the profile quite nicely. So
I'm actually just just one's come into my head. What about a Gallo on loan to the end of the season?
So I don't know.
Could he really do any worse than what the rest of them are doing?
I think they really need to.
2 goals in open play this season. I'm sure a Gallo could.
I think they need
do better than that.
I think they need to prove, or like they kind of need to justify spending nearly 27 million on Reuben Brewster. So I think they need to play him ahead of that. I mean, like, their forwards aren't terrible. I mean, they're not like, you know, well, obviously they're not the best in the league, but like Ollie McBurney can cause bother. Lys Mousset has a habit of proving me wrong. I think he's terrible, but then he's like goes on a little purple patch. He's fine. Reuben Brewster, I don't understand why it's not working for him, because he was really good at Swansea last year. So I don't know, maybe the system just doesn't fit, or that price tag is weighing very heavily on his young shoulders. But those are my options for Sheffield United. Yeah, not great, I admit, but then it's very difficult to get Sheffield United. Anybody who's going to
points at this stage of the season,
nobody's going to make a huge difference at all. So, would you sack Chris Wilder just as a matter of interest?
No,
I wouldn't sack him either. Not a chance. But I think just
I think the job he did last season gives him a lot of
goodwill,
a lot of grace and goodwill. Yeah.
So after that, comprehensive, I think, rebuild of Sheffield United. That was. We move on to West Brom, who I find a bit easier to work with because,
well,
not to say they'll have any more money than Sheffield United, but I'd say they have a bit more pulling power in their current situation. New manager, getting a few points on the board. It's a bit more of an appealing prospect. So would you like to start off the West Brom rebuild?
Probably be alone, but Dan James.
Dan James, right? Okay. I didn't even consider him.
If Cavani's fit, Martial's fit, Rashford's fit, Greenwood's fit, Matt's fit, Pogba's playing out in the left now. I don't really see where Dan James gets a game, so it would be worse. I'm sure it would be worse West Brom trying it.
I'm sure he won't want to. If he does go out alone, he won't want to drop any lower than the Prem because I heard he was linked with Leeds, but then after that whole kerfuffle, whenever he ended up going to Swansea, maybe not. I don't know, but that's not a bad shout actually. He's got 2? Is he 2 goals this season?
Well, 1. I know he scored against Leeds.
I think he's
but mind you, Victor Lindelof scored against Leeds. It was a weird day.
The last person to score in the Prem called Victor was Victor Anichebe. Maybe. There you go. And he's brought it back to West Brom. Oh, brilliant. I'm trying to think who else they have out on the wings, really. They've got, Kamil Grzycki. That's all I can think of.
Matt Phillips.
Matt Phillips is all right, actually. He's a decent Premier League winger, I guess. He's fine.
James could play left or right, so it doesn't really.
Yeah, depth is what West Brom need. Depth is what a lot of these sides need, apart from Fulham, arguably. But definitely Sheffield United and West Brom, they need depth. Something shocking.
Where are you going first then?
Well, I thought obviously I thought I've gone up front, really, because they need goals. Something shocking. Because they've only scored 11 goals in 17 games so far this season. So I've gone with, on a free, because I love me a free transfer, Daniel Sturridge on a free. Of course, he was at the club during the 17-18 season where he made 6 appearances and scored no goals, but I think he was injured, had a bit of an injury spell.
Daniel Sturridge injured, behave.
I know, right? But showed some decent form when he went back to Liverpool, and then he was, of course, at, was it Trabzonspor last year before there was, a betting thing that he got sacked? He got sacked anyway.
Back for doing something.
He made 11 appearances and scored 4 goals and got 4 assists in his time in Turkey, which is not terrible at all. But then again, it's the Turkish league. But he's played in the Prem before. He knows what it takes to score goals in the Premier League. He's 31 though, But he could still provide a bit of quality, especially with their main, the guy they were planning on getting most of their goals, Carlin Grant. He's out for a lengthy spell, so they need a forward.
You could do him with something.
So I think on a free transfer, of course his wages may be bloody astronomical, but he might be an option, I reckon, Daniel Sturridge.
Well, as far as scoring goals is concerned, I have Dwight Gale down for them. So I don't really think, you've got Joe Linton, you've got Wilson, you've got Carl.
Who can't score. I've got Callum Wilson, who only scores penalties.
Dwight Gale's not really getting any game time for you, so...
But, again...
He was at West Brom.
The only thing I would say is, again, we're ravaged by injury as much as yous are, so I don't think that he's going to... I don't think we can afford to let him go. I don't think there's any we can afford to let anybody go out of our squad, even though our squad is quite poor. But we need the numbers. We desperately need the numbers. Unless they offer money for him, it's not a bad shout actually, because he was at West Brom last year. No, it was the season before. He was at West Brom.
Season before, yeah, whenever they come up,
and he had a really good spell there. I've come round to Dwight Gale. I used to think he was awful. And now I've kind of felt bad. He's fine. He's perfectly adequate. But I think, if they could get him, that'd be a fine addition. But I just think that because our injury list is ever growing, I don't think we can afford to let him go. I'm just trying to think who else did West Brom have that can play up front.
Charlie Austin.
Charlie bloody Austin. I forgot about him.
As much as I like Charlie Austin, and he's a half-decent player, he's at the stage now you can't really be relying on Charlie Austin to score your goals week in, week out.
No, not really. They've got Hal Robson-Kanu, who I can't believe is still at a Premier League club. He's there. Callum Robinson, who blows very, very hot and cold.
How Robson-Kanu must be injured, because there's no way that is he getting game time?
Sporadically, but he's not injured. He's just he's just not being preferred. Mateus Pereira, he mainly plays out in the wing, doesn't he? Pereira, he's actually good. Him and Grady Diangana are two very good signings for West Brom. Charlie Austin.
Don't understand if you've got Hal Robson-Kanu there why you don't play him if you need goals.
Well, he's a. I don't know how he's still at West Bromwich Albion. How he's still at a Premier League club. Truth be told, that's just me, who's never set foot on a Premier League football pitch in his life. Yeah, it may get to that stage. Big Sam might fancy him. You never know. The old boat and chase style of Sam Allardyce, which is so attractive to watch, almost as attractive to watch as Steve Bruce's style of kick it and run. There you are.
Sam Allardyce gets a draw against Liverpool and then gets picked 5-0 by Leeds.
It's very strange, isn't it? Isn't football weird? So I'm going to move on to the second of my three. I can talk. I swear to God, I can talk. I can't really.
Words are good.
Words are difficult, mate. It's a centre half I've gone for because I feel like West Brom are lacking in depth and quality all over the pitch, and I don't think anybody would disagree with me really. But I've gone with a lad who's playing in Serie B at the minute. He's valued at £5.4 million by Transfermarkt, but his contract is up at the end of the season. So you could get him on a cut price deal. Playing in Brescia at the moment is Andrea Sistana, 23-year-old centre-half. He's 6'1". He can also deputise in at right back. Played 21 times for Brescia when they were in Serie A last season. So he has experience at a top flight football and top 5 league. That was the same team as Sandro Tonali was playing for last season in Serie A. 21 appearances, he got a goal. He got making a tackle and 1.6 interceptions and 4.5 clearances per game last season in Serie A for 23. Well, he would have been 22 then. Centre half. He hasn't played this season at all, but that's because that's the only problem is he's coming back from knee surgery. Apparently, he is back, but just getting him back up to speed again would be the only issue.
That's the issue, yeah.
The West Brom side that desperately needs players that can come in and contribute straight away. But even so, I figure if West Brom were able to bring in someone like Sistana in the Championship, he'd be an asset, I think. Valued at 5.4 mil, like I say, contracts up at the end of the season. Because, I'd say there'll be some suitors for him. But if you came in for him and offered Brescia maybe, 2.5 mil for a lad who hasn't played all season and whose contract's up at the end of the season, might be able to get him for less than that. I'd say it's worth a shot. The budget option, but I feel there's a bit of quality in there if you can get him fit and get him playing. So the thing with West Brom as well is like the way that Big Sam likes to play. It's a very traditional style, shall we say. He likes big, burly centre halves, and this lad he can show that he can hold his own.
Let's be honest. If it wasn't for the fact that Sheffield United are in as poor a position as they are, you'd be talking about how bad a position West Brom are in.
Yeah, because
they only get 6 points.
I'm just looking here at their squad list, who can play in defence. Darnell Furlong, centre half, Kyle Bartley and Semi Ajayi, who, to be fair, Semi Ajayi looks all right. Looks fairly decent. And Dara O'Shea, who's looked decent in fits and starts. Who else? Who's your second for West Brom?
Well, I had Foster Mensah as well. Foster Mensah could kind of go in all of them.
But it's a case then again of can you afford to let him go?
I think we can. I don't really plenty of people that can cover it right back. With Maguire, Lindelof, Baye, Twinsiebe, Mengi can play centre half. McTominay can play centre half if you need him. Matic can play there, although I don't want Matic on the field at all.
I'm just thinking as well, right, in regards to Dan James coming in, your Dan James option, you just have Diallo coming in as well, so
yeah,
more reason for Dan James to get out and get some football under his belt.
Potentially as well for West Brom, Brandon Williams.
Brandon Williams, yes. Now he has been linked with us as well, and I quite like him, purely because he looks competent as a footballer, which is something that we haven't seen us in this for a good long while. But yeah, Brandon Williams. I've also gone for a fullback as my third choice. But tell me why. Tell me about Brandon Williams. Tell me why he's stuck out for you.
Well, ever since he came into the team, I think he's a great player. But the problem is now with Tele is he's not going to get game time.
No, and Shaw as well at left back is going to.
It'd be handy there for somebody if he did go out and could cover both. Could cover both sides. I mean, he can play wing back or he can play full back. Mm-hmm. He's good going forward. He's young. He's got fucking energy and burden. You see him running and you go, "Oh, I feel old."
To be fair, I watch the Prem in general and I feel old. So it's not 30 and 32 now.
Yeah.
Sucks, doesn't it? Not that you could tell that we are 30 and 32 respectively.
No, of course not.
So as I said, my third and final choice for West Brom is another fullback, a left back as well, from the Championship actually, which back in about 3 or 4 years ago you get good talent for decent money, but then thinking about it now, the Championship isn't really. You can't really get cut price deals in the Championship anymore because it's such a high quality of league now that everybody is. The players are a lot more valuable to their respective clubs. But I've gone with a lad, former Chelsea youth player who moved to Bristol City last season, Jay Da Silva, out of Bristol City. He's valued at 3.6 mil, but he's worth, I imagine, considerably more than that to Bristol City. And like I say, he's just moved last season, so that's going to bump the price tag up a little bit. 22-year-old left back, loves a dribble and loves a tackle. The only problem is he's quite weak in the air, and he's an upgrade on Kieran Gibbs, I reckon. And he can use his pace and his dribbling ability to create attacks and to put the pressure on and to press opposition forwards. 9 appearances so far this season. He's been injured for quite a few games though, which is a bit worrying.
Yeah.
Got a goal and an assist, and he's making a tackle and almost an interception per game, and he's making 1.2 clearances per game. I reckon he's young. and I reckon he'd be up for the fight in the Premier League. And even if the West Brom, that's what they're called, do go down, I reckon it's maybe a step up from Bristol City to play for a team like West Brom, maybe. So that's pretty much it for West Brom, unless you can think of anybody else, really.
No, again, maybe a Gallo, but
who knows, man? Who knows?
Like I said, a lot of these could kind of go
either,
for any of them. Maybe, like you say, maybe not so much Fulham.
Yeah.
Fulham have a decent enough squad, but I mean, we're going to get there now anyway. But
yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it for West Brom. Again, we're trying to work within a budget here because we think that these teams don't really have a whole heap of money, so these are the best that we can come up with. So let us know in the comment section who would you take to West Brom and to Sheffield United. We're going to move on to possibly the easiest one out of this whole thing, and that is Fulham. So for me, Fulham, my opinion is they need a forward. So that's really, I've only got 2 for Fulham because I feel like everywhere they needed to kind of improve, they did in the summer. Like their wing backs needed improving, they improved them. Their defence needed improving, they got reinforcements in. Their goalkeeping situation needed improved, they got goalkeepers in. So up front is really the only position that I can kind of think that they need to improve because Mitrovic has only got 2 goals this season. Bobby Reid has chipped in with a few, but Bobby Reid alone will not keep you in the Premier League. So I have 2 options for strikers. One fairly pricey, and one which is as left field as what's a very left field thing. So yeah,
right, go on.
Feel free to jump in with your philosophy on Fulham.
Well, no, I was going to wait until you through your left field and your pricey one. Do you want to go for your pricey one or your left field? You have to go for your pricey one first and leave the left field.
We'll go with the pricey one first. So ladies first, so I'll go first. I've gone with Adam Armstrong out of Blackburn, formerly of Newcastle United. He's valued at 9 million on Transfermarkt, but I reckon that he will take up the bulk of our, if not all of our 20 million budget.
See, this is the thing where it came to them that I kind of thought maybe Ivan Toney, and then went, no.
He's literally just moved in the summer as well.
He's flying high at Brentford. If they keep going, they're coming up. He'd take up quote. I would say he would end up taking up more than the budget. So that one was just immediately, I was like, no. Then I looked at so Lucas Zhao, you call him, at Reading, but again, he's just moved.
But Lucas Zhao's a bit of a rogue shout, I would have thought.
At Reading, he seems to be doing well at Reading. I mean, listen, you kind of, like we mentioned earlier, trying to get players is going to be hard. So,
plus as well with the implications of COVID, money's a bit tight, isn't it?
See, I also had a fairly kind of weirdly out there loan signing for them. Billy Gilmore.
Billy Gilmore at Chelsea, yes. I suppose he was the next big bloody thing. Now he's not getting a game.
Because I'm sure he'd get game time at Fulham.
The only thing I would say about Fulham is they have a lot of central midfielders. I was going to look for a central midfielder. I was actually going to look for Philip Billing out of Huddersfield. So I think he would. But then I remember they've got Ongisa, who's playing really well. They've got Lamina in on loan from Southampton. I
was kind of thinking that way too because of COVID and everything. It's in London. It's like Chelsea and Fulham are they not like right beside each other?
God, my London geography is not really. So, I imagine it's not kicking the arse off. Yeah,
I was kind of going that way as far as it was concerned. But
I've also had a thought about your Billy Gilmore shout. I don't think they can. Because they already have one long-term loan out of Chelsea. I don't think you can have more than one long-term loan from a club. They've got Reuben Loftus-Cheek. At least I think you're only allowed one long-term loan from each club. But Loftus-Cheek, to be fair, I'm just looking at their squad list, and to be fair, their central midfield options, like their midfield options in general, are pretty deep. Like I said, Fulham's got the best squad out of all these three teams in the bottom three. So I think they're in the least amount of like kind of dire straits, so to speak. I think they'll actually be able to put up a fight to get out of relegation. Like they've got the likes of, like I say, they've got Loftus-Cheek, they've got Lamina, they've got Josh Onuma, they've got Anguissa, Jean-Michel Seri's still there, Harrison Reed's there, Stefan Johansson's still there. So, you know,
Kearney's there as well, isn't he?
Yeah, Tom Kearney's the club captain. So there's not exactly a lack of depth, you know, a decent quality in depth, considering we're talking about the bottom three here. Their only real issue is putting the ball in the net from an outsider's perspective. Like Mitrovic, like I said, has only got 2 goals. I think Bobby Reed's got a handful. Maybe a Kamara, I don't think has a huge amount, if any. So, like I say, my shout was Adam Armstrong, who would cost a lot, to be fair. He's having an absolutely bloody lights out season, so he's still only 23. He feels like he's been around for bloody ages. He holds the ball up really well. He links up play really well. He loves a dribble. He loves to shoot from distance, and his finishing is obviously very strong. He's in 24 games this season. He has 17 goals and 3 assists, which is
doing all right.
He's doing all right, isn't he?
He's only have a year as well. And
he can play anywhere along the front three, along the front line. So his stats this year so far, I know I'm just throwing out random stats just to make it sound like I know anything, but Armstrong's are genuinely very impressive. Like I say, 22 appearances in the Championship, 16 goals, 3 assists. He's taken 5 shots a game, which is mental. 1.2 dribbles and 0.9 key passes. So essentially a key pass and over a dribble a game and 5 shots a game. And he's got 16 goals in the league from 22 games. 17 and 24 in all comps, which, if there's anybody worth taking a punt on, Adam Armstrong, like he has 16 goals in the league now, which is what he got last season. So he's on a bloody hot streak. And for someone like Fulham, maybe you take a chance on someone who's on a hot streak, but he's going to cost you a whole heap of cash, which is why I have my extraordinarily left field shout.
I was going to say, I don't actually have anybody left back for Fulham, so will we end on your wonderfully left field right out there shout?
Well, we'll give it a go. Now, this one, it's just because I really like him, really, and because I think that if Fulham do go down, they will probably get rid of a whole heap of players, and this lad could really be a star in the future, and he could be an asset in the Championship. Victor Boniface, or Victor Boniface is what I'll call him. He plays for Bodo Glimt in Norway. Bodo Glimt, who won their first league title there last season. It's he's valued at £450,000 by Transfermarkt, but I reckon they would ask for more than that. It's the same side that Jens Petter Hauge played for. He went to AC Milan for like £3 million, and he's been one of their best players this year. Young Norwegian talent. But Boniface, he's a Norwegian under youth international. Only 20 years old. He's 6'4". He's massive. He's got a fair bit of pace about him. He's very good. Obviously, very good in the air at 6'4". His goal scoring record's not great, but then again, he's 20 years old, and he only started playing there last season, or like in the 2019 season is when he made his debut. Of course, they don't have seasons that run in. It's just like 2019. It's like a season per calendar year sort of thing. So we'll take his stats for this season, for last season, the 2020 season. He had 24 appearances in total, scored 6 goals and got 3 assists for a 20-year-old lad. Now, fair enough, it's the Norwegian league, right? But he did score 2 goals in 3 games in Europa League qualification, which is not to be sniffed at, I don't think.
No.
Like I say, it's a very left field shout, but for teams that are desperate for bargains, but he's a young talent who I think could do very well if given a chance. And even so, he's still so young, he'll still be an asset, so you could still sell him on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my extraordinarily left field shout. is Victor Boniface out of Bodo Glimt. So there we have it. That is our that's our director of football rules for the day.
Yes.
Yeah. Who we would bring in to try and obviously fix the 3 teams in the relegation zone at the minute. Obviously, that doesn't take into account sales that could occur or bloody takeovers that could randomly happen. But as the state of play, that's probably the best that we can think of in 24 hours, which is less than, because I've made this suggestion to you about 7:30 last night. So yeah, and it was hard enough to do that in that period of time.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy one though.
No, so that's what we would do. Let us know in the comment section below, of course, if who you would bring in to help these teams out. So that's it for this episode of the podcast. It is back, and over lockdown, it's probably going to become more frequent. Just on the subject of the content on this, I hate that word, content. It's awful. Of the videos on this channel, because I didn't really mention it before. There's a bit of a change to the content that's going out, though. Is no more PES stuff, no more Football Manager stuff. All that stuff is gone. Mainly because I wasn't having much fun with it. It was a bit of a chore to do it, to be honest. But it was the thing that was the most popular on the channel, so I kept doing it. But I wasn't really enjoying it, and I felt like it was coming across in the last few episodes, and the length of time it was taking me to put stuff out. So there'll be no more of that. More of the video essays. That's what I wanted this channel to be when it started. So that's probably the way it's going to go. More video essays and little mini docs and stuff, as well as the podcast, of course, and a few little things interspersed here and there. But there will be no more gaming stuff. So my apologies. So just before we go, Keith, have you anything to plug? Twitters, all that sort of carry on. Even though it's not really been down there the whole time. But
yeah, down there.
Anything else you would like to plug?
I need to plug my phone in sometimes, Charlie.
That's very good, very helpful there to the cause. I'm just going to plug the rest of the stuff. Made a thing about the '98 World Cup. Was very proud of it. Made a thing about Andres Escobar. Really enjoyed making that. That was fun. I hope.
Not sure what corner I'm in, so they're up there or up there.
Yeah, so they'll be linked in and around the faces here. And of course, you can check out more episodes of the podcast and various other stuff that's on the channel. Whole heap of stuff to keep you entertained over this lockdown period. And yeah, everybody stay safe. Make sure you keep washing your hands. Wear your mask. It's not a conspiracy. It's a real thing that's happening. People have died. It's not to be taken lightly. Just please be sensible and please be safe. There you go. See, look how easy that was. Look how simple that is. So yeah,
easy, fine.
Peace off, piss. So yeah, just please be sensible, please, and don't go out unless you really have to. I mean, I know, like, I love Monster Munch as much as the rest of you, but I don't need it. So I'll just stay in the house and have some.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick, I think, is that should be the government mandate, I reckon. So so on that note, we'll wrap it up there. Keith, thank you so much for joining me today. I sure do appreciate it.
No problem. Fun as always.
And yeah, we will see you as always when, Keith?
In the next one.
Be remembered. Good Lord. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye.